What's up, digital world? We are here again with the topic, the state of social media during the COVID-19 pandemic, with a good friend of mine, Arjun, where he was CEO of HelloWoofy.com. Welcome. Let's chat it up.
Hey, Troy. How are you doing?
Good, man. How are you? How's the family? How's everybody?
Family's good. The dog's good. The cats are good. The coronavirus is at bay right now in our little situation up here. But like we were talking before the show, everyone's in my prayer. In terms of what's happening in New York. But business is good. We're growing, and in fact, we're giving licenses away to anyone who's been affected by the situation. And if there's anything I can do to help, that's really what I'm looking to do right now.
Awesome. So let's just kick right in it. What's one thing that social media managers or anyone who's managing social kind of is to be aware of during this time that you've seen?
Yeah. So obviously, as soon as the news hit of the whole Corona situation and the economy and things of that nature, there were very good examples of how people were taking initiative. Rather, brands were taking initiative. You may have seen some, new logos coming out of, Volkswagen, McDonald's, and they were talking about social distancing. So what they did was they took their logo itself and they kind of separated it a little bit. It was very creative. And Nike came out and they said, if you want to be, play the sport or something of that nature, this is the best way to play it is indoors. So you're seeing some creativity coming out of brands, but then you're also seeing some examples of people, hoarding supplies and, increasing prices. Not a good way to be doing business. In fact, you're going to get in trouble if you do that with the authorities. And you're seeing some ads where people are, saying this is going to help you with, preventing Corona, and this is going to help you make, be more healthy. And you're seeing the FDA really come down on them and say this is not true, this is not approved, and things of that nature. So obviously you want to be mindful. You don't want to take advantage by any means, whether it's social or it's in person or it's traditional advertising. You don't want to take advantage of the situation. Of course, be mindful, be empathetic. That's something I always talk about. Is being EQ driven. This is not an opportunity for you to take advantage of individuals who don't know any better. In fact, this is an opportunity for you to educate if you are in a position to be, distributing information, which is obviously proven and is backed up by data and statistics. This is an opportunity for you to be teaching people, helping them, get back on their feet. If you know a neighbor that's, just lost a job and was owning a restaurant, some restaurants have turned into grocery stores overnight. There was one example of one of my friends was posting online is a before and after photo of a restaurant. The front of the restaurant after just has fruits and vegetables, and they're just, they just overnight turned into something else. They had to pivot. We talk about pivoting a lot in entrepreneurship. A lot of other businesses, they just decided to shut down. They're like, the restaurant business is done. Other businesses, they decided to become delivery only, even before the delivery only, mentality came out. And so you have to constantly, innovate. I mean, it's on social is the same as it is in person, in reality, offline, online. It's all about being EQ driven. It's all about pivoting and being, several steps ahead than your competition.
Totally agree. And I'm sure you can ad lib to this too, but right now I think there's this split bag of people. You have the one bucket of people who have like not only pivoted, but in like a very narrow way of COVID-19 content, like 80% of the time. Then you have the other people who kind of pivoted and are trying it. They're aware of the situation, but they're trying to dialect and communicate in a way of empathy, but yet still kind of pushing their businesses, but tying it into how we can help you, whether you're another business or through this period as well. What's your take on businesses who are basically unfortunately becoming somewhat of a sub media outlet, if I can use the term, just kind of informing everyone COVID-19. We already have enough of that at play every time you go on Twitter from media outlets and news sources. Should companies utilizing social media schedules, social media platforms really push COVID-19, or on the second half of that, pivot and be aware, but just really talk about your business still, but just being aware of the situation?
I think it's about, like with anything in life, you need to be aware of the amount of salesiness you come across with, whether it's subtle or it's in your face. I think people have a really good barometer for BS, and especially when this is not the era of infomercial where you have to listen to the person on the screen yelling at you to buy now. And unfortunately, there's no other way. I mean, today we can fast forward through advertisements. We can turn it off. We can do watch shows on demand. So if you're talking in any medium, if you're talking about COVID-19, if you're talking about either dealing with the situation or educating the individual about how to run your business in a different way, you really have to, like I said before, you really have to back it up with good data and realistic goals. You can't just be saying, things that may or may not work. You have to actually try it for yourself and then disseminate information. Otherwise, you're really making things up on the spot and actually not being helpful to an individual who really may only have a couple of shots to turn their business around. And you're telling them information that may or may not work. And so you want to be very aware of that. One of the things I would say is have a lot of social clout around you. As you know, social clout or testimonials and those kind of things really help. One of the things that we're now doing with AppSumo, for example, is giving them the ability to, and if you can share the screen, we actually partnered with AppSumo, and they were reaching out to companies who were, asking companies if you'd be willing to help other small businesses around the world, restaurant owners, gym owners, people who have been really in hotels have been impacted by this. Would you be willing to give your software away without any strings attached, just out of the kindness of your heart? And obviously we said yes. Several other companies said yes. In fact, 15 here. We also are distributing software licenses for free with partnerprograms.io, which is another company similar to AppSumo. And will someone know about HelloWoofy? Will someone know about Hey Summit and NVIDIA and all of these other companies? Start building some sort of relationship with us? Obviously, yes. But more importantly, we will first and foremost be able to help their business get off the ground. Maybe find a new revenue stream, which may be social media. That restaurant may not have taken it seriously, but they're sure as heck are taking it seriously today. So if you're going to push COVID-19, do it with data, do it with things you can back it up with, and do it with social clout. Bring a coalition of individuals, because you can't. It takes a village to raise it takes a village to raise a child. As the saying goes, I'm definitely messing up the saying itself. The point is, it takes people, and you really have to invest in people at the end of the day. If you're going to do it by yourself, good luck. But you're not going to be able to do it, by yourself in the long run. Obviously, stay 6 feet apart while you're doing it.
Yes, please do. So you lead me to a point where I know I've been thinking about this a lot and talked to a lot of people. Where do you stand on? There's a weird spot for entrepreneurs in particular right now where. Yeah. We just talked about how we're giving away things for free and really helping people who are affected by this, the pandemic. And, we're trying our best to help as many people as we can. The other part of that is you still have to make money.
Yes.
And I think, sure, the playing of making a lot of things for free to help people is a great brand awareness piece. But if you're still not making money, you can't help anybody else because you have nothing coming in the pipeline and no cash flow. So
Correct.
Where do you stand on that, and how are you adjusting to that with your business during this climate?
Yeah, so honestly, Troy, our business is actually growing, I would say, faster in this era. We were traditionally focused on, individuals who are working from home, running e-commerce businesses, stay-at-home moms, bloggers, small agencies who are completely remote. Today, everyone is remote, obviously, because of the situation around the globe. Our TAM, our total addressable market, just went through the roof. In fact, it's not just the tier 1 countries, Canada, the UK, the US, and in parts of Europe. It's every country around the world, and we're actually seeing more and more people are making a shift to running their own businesses online and running them from home. So we are obviously seeing an uptick in revenue, and in fact, we've been doing more revenue per day. To answer your question about how other businesses will make money, if you're a tech company, you have the luxury to give away certain aspects of your software if you don't have a huge overhead, because the margins are so much higher in our business than any other business. I mean, you go into the business of Sam's Club and Costco and Amazon warehousing, they're running, their margins are like in the single digits. Obviously our margins are in the double digits, in the very high double digits. So there is a level of, you do need to make a case of, you want to make sure that you don't try, you keep sustaining your own business. But if you're in the tech community and you have the ability to give software away, give time away, because you could, that's valuable in and of itself. I think you have an obligation to do that and do it right this second. If you're in a position that you can do that, build a coalition. Find, if you're a restaurant owner and you're doing, okay right now in terms of delivery only, then find the restaurant, down the block or, across town that isn't doing really well. Form a coalition. Who knows, you may acquire one another. You may form a long-lasting relationship down the road, because fact of the matter is, and Mark Cuban said this earlier today on in the press, the way companies treat their employees is going to set the tone for generations of employees that are going to come and work at those companies. And those are not, we're not talking about big companies. We're talking about the startups. We're talking about the mid-sized companies. We're talking about the big corporations. Heck, we're even talking about the governments and how the governments are responding. And at the end of the day, money may not be the first thing that comes to mind, but in the long term, this is going to be maybe an awareness play. You invest for the 3 months that this is going to happen, maybe the 6 months it's going to happen, and then the 6 months after that, the shockwave, that you're going to feel after that as well. But eventually, I can definitely tell you that it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it for you as an entrepreneur, for your soul, and it's going to be worth it for your business if you invest in the right places. People will come back. It's like giving away free product, your free ebook, your free guide, and then then upselling individuals once you get their email. You put them in a funnel. If you want to do that, go ahead and do that, but do it with empathy. Don't do it with an agenda right off the bat.
Ooh, dropped a bomb and drunk some tea. And I think that's what a lot of brands need to do. And we've seen the word empathy used a lot more than normal, but it's justifiable. A lot of stuff's going on. We're tiptoeing through a lot of sensitivity right now. Yeah. One thing I want to pivot to is the opportunity, though, too. Yeah. When it's been doom and gloom, but like you just said, your company is growing. We're seeing a lot of activity as more companies are shifting to be mainly all work from home, mainly all remote. As companies are transitioning, making that pivot to all digital or bringing more digital components, those organizations who traditionally did print ads and all of these different things, and they do it face-to-face, obviously they can't do that anymore. So where do we shift? Where do we go? Digital, social media. Yeah. So what platforms does Woofy work for, and what can, small, medium-sized businesses utilize Woofy to take advantage of to really build? This is the time really to build their social media plan out, get stuff scheduled out there and ready to go. So how can they use your app to do that?
Yeah, so we schedule, in our application, we actually schedule with the 4 of the major platforms, namely the Facebooks of the world, the LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram of the world. So when you're in the platform itself, if you want to set up a single post, or if you want to type something, it's super easy to work with Twitter, like you can see here, Facebook groups, Facebook pages, LinkedIn pages, LinkedIn profiles, Instagram as well. It's super easy, and the nicest thing about this is it actually is assistive, and it helps you come up with the copy, because this is where, and I know we've talked about this before, we want to help small businesses compete with the unlimited giants of the world in terms of marketing budget and spend, because at the end of the day, you and I, we have a small budget, and in most cases, big companies, they spend the amount of money that we spend in a month, they spend it in a day or in an hour. And so for one of the examples is, if you're starting to type in, like, for example, I love you, and of course I love you, Troy, and my, let's see, coffee. As you can see, it's auto completing the words and sentences before you. The point is, it's assistive. It's an augmentation to your skills, your creativity. It's not to replace you by any means. Morgan Stanley CEO came out today and said, we are not looking to replace you guys. We are going to hold on to you till the end of 2020, and we'll reassess the situation of the economy till then. That's empathy driven. We want to be empathy driven too. We're not building a product to replace people. We want to build a product so that you shine in your best, in your best situation possible. So if I type in "I love you" in my coffee, and as you know, Troy, emojis are shown to drive double-digit uplifts and engagement. We obviously go through 150 million data points to figure out what emojis will do really well based on what I'm typing. And based on what
I love the feature. I absolutely love that feature.
And then based on what I'm typing, one of the things that small businesses always tend to make a mistake, and very innocently actually, is that they think Googling images is totally fine to take the image, whatever comes up, and whether it's copyrighted or not, which is not okay at all. Most of the images that come up in Google Images are copyrighted. These images that we're suggesting based on what you typed in are copyright free, and soon we'll have Adobe and Shutterstock and other premium sources of images as well. And then, of course, based on what's in the image, we give you recommendations for hashtags. If you want to type your own hashtag in for example, technology, you can see there's technology being auto-completed. If I want to translate this into another language, because maybe I work with a lot of individuals who are from France, so je peux parler un peu français. Here we go, and a minor formatting issue there. And je t'aime et mon café. Now, the borders have suddenly come down with what is happening right now with Corona. The entire world, for the first time in history, is unified. There's a hashtag United as one. It's trending on social. There's a reason why it's doing that, is because people globally are understanding that this isn't a situation to take advantage of each other's countries and things of that nature. This is a point to come together and collaborate. What we wanted to do with this feature was allow you to have that communicative, programmatic access to the entire world. And so if you're working with people around the world, great. This will allow you to do that. And by the way, this will allow you to compete with the big agencies who have people to do this. You have technology 24/7, driven by data science and artificial intelligence, doing it for you.
Wow. You just be doing these subtle drop bombs and just, let y'all process that for a minute. Let's continue on. I love it. I love it. So, I was thinking about when I've been using it more on LinkedIn as of late, since obviously now you have a lot more people, a lot more eyes. So if you're unemployed and you're looking to build your personal brand as you pursue other jobs, if you're trying to pursue other clients, if you're trying to garner new customers, but of a certain level or a certain messaging or tone point, I have had the blessing to really utilize LinkedIn to kind of bring that around. And also with that, Woofy has allowed me to get my thoughts down. And that's the joy of schedulers. For people who don't know schedulers, the ability now, you can have like a few hours out of your day to create content. And then after you do it, put it out there, but don't post it right away. Make sure it fits the parameters and everything. Get your ideas sought and do it for a few, days, or at least a week in advance or 2 weeks in advance. And the thing about Woofy, when you plug it in, it'll give you all these ad libs, especially what I love when you can add the link and then it sparse up some type of content. Because sometimes as creatives, you're stuck. Or if you're an executive or you're doing this on your own as a solo entrepreneur and you just don't have the creative mind or just the juices right now to think of some crazy, awesome headline, and Arjun, you can give me more of the technicality aspect from a user standpoint. I'm able to put that link in. It'll sparse off points I can utilize as my headline within my post. And I can schedule it on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and it'll check to make sure I'm not duplicating what I'm saying either one too. And it's just a few clicks. Just read it over a few times, and it just makes things so much easier, so much more streamlined. So this is why we're trying to talk about this. Yes, we're talking about the state of social media in this period. There is a lot going on. Be sensitive, be smart, be very conscious about what you're scheduling, but utilize a schedule. If you haven't, this is a time to learn one. This is time to one. And I'd say personally for me, and I've tried, I'm pretty sure every single one that's been out there to the market to date. And I'm not trying to be biased, but I'm by experience. This one allows you, for those who aren't maybe the most savvy or you're just getting into it, it's at a great price point, is user-friendly, extremely user-friendly, very basic and easy to use and understand. There's a good differential of colors and simplicity. And I think that's what I would enjoy. And I think a lot of people who are just now getting to social more seriously and need a scheduling tool, you might be intimidated by those with all the bells and whistles. This one is very clean, very minimalistic, and allows you to really do things a lot simpler. But as Arjun said, there's a lot of AI components, a lot of other tools and bells and whistles that can help you kind of perform at your best.
And one thing I did want to highlight also is the ability that, soon, very soon, if you can share the screen, is, of course, we've heard content is king. We've been hearing it for the longest time. It is so much true today than it was yesterday, and so much more, it was true more yesterday than it was the day before. This is the ability that we're about to introduce in about 2 to 3 weeks, for you to take that autocomplete capability you saw for social media posts and do it for long form content. We're talking 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 word articles. You can autocomplete those at scale, and we are seeing it internally anywhere from 20 to 30% less time that it goes into typing something up that is, honestly is your best friend. We chose the name Woofy because it's not only for the underdog competing with the big unlimited budgets of the world, but it's your best friend that is always there sitting next to you, teaching you when, how, and what to post. Is with what you were seeing on the screen, you could type long form content at scale, get the right emoji recommendations, translate it into another language, add images, add videos, whatever you want. And as you can see here, of course, this is a mock-up, but this again is in development right now. It'll auto-complete as you're typing. So you're never feeling a creative block in that you don't know what to type. You're looking at a blank screen. That's what Troy was alluding to, is a lot of the other companies that we have huge amount of respect for, like Hootsuite and Buffer. When you first start using those tools, if you don't know anything about social media, or even if you are an experienced executive, it makes you do the grunt work of finding content, then coming up with the right copy, the right images, the right emojis, the right hashtags. It's never about your talent. It's never about the ability to storytell. And that's really the commodity that you should be competing on, especially today. You should not be competing on your budget, on how much time you have versus the big guy. You should be competing on how awesome you are in terms of creativity. And this is kind of the ability that maybe you'll prove us wrong. But my personal opinion is that creativity and storytelling and your ability to amplify that in content is going to be what's going to differentiate you in the long term. And if you can give it away for free, just give it away for free if you can. And because that's going to build the awareness for you in long term, that's going to get you the monetary return down the road. Right now is a time of empathy about giving things away, giving advice, getting on a free phone call, consulting with the restaurant owner, teaching them about getting on Shopify or any other e-commerce, teaching them about what is WordPress, how to start a blog, how to get their menu up and running, how to get, on Yelp, teach people your expertise for free, and then put them into a funnel. And that funnel, unfortunately, is going to be a longer funnel. It's not going to be a couple of weeks. Do not drip campaign them for a couple of weeks or a couple of days. Drip campaign them for the next year. Because honestly, that relationship at the end of the 12 months is going to be a lot more strong than it will be if you try to take advantage right now.
Would you say when it comes to businesses and trying to employ kind of a drip methodology with social, how long would you say in advance people should schedule out posts, especially right now?
Yeah, it's the situation right now is changing on a weekly basis, I would say. I mean, you can pretty much understand what's happening in the Senate, what's happening in the House, what's eventually getting to the president's desk for approval. So I would say definitely having generalized content at least a week or two out is totally fine. But as you saw in the platform, you can do single posts in the moment. You can do single posts in advance, maybe like by a day or two. You shouldn't feel the burden of trying to do everything in real time, unless there's obviously breaking news. But the biggest point is taking whatever you're sharing and making sure you're adding value. That if the new bill that was just passed by the president for the $2 trillion for supporting Americans across the country, if you're just sharing the fact that it happened, may not be useful. If you're talking, obviously our audience is very entrepreneurial, it's of business owners and freelancers. You want to highlight how it's impacting the gig economy, which is what there's a large component thanks to the Democrats that will actually help the gig economy individuals, people who wouldn't have been traditionally, been able to benefit from this bill. Now they will be. The details of that would be tremendously of tremendous value. And on LinkedIn, like you said, on Facebook, like you said, allows you to do long form content. Share it in the post itself. Schedule it out. Let it go. Schedule it tonight. Send it out tomorrow morning, and have it sent out tomorrow morning. And you have something that's valuable. If it's Twitter, have it linked to a blog post. Just type up a short blog post, rephrase whatever was in the news article, link it to the news article so you have a nice backlink as well, and share that. Maybe that's the first thing you should do is try to decipher the entire bill into something that's bite-sized, and you can schedule that into several days worth of content. Just try to be valuable. Don't just regurgitate the same thing that everyone's doing.
Can we talk about, and to your point, how to diversify your content from a language standpoint? So you take that same link, And let's say you might have 30 to 40% of your audience who have followed you on all your platforms. You don't want to be too mundane where you're just basically plotting the exact same thing on all of your platforms.
Yeah.
I would probably suggest, take certain sections. That's what Woofy's able to do very efficiently. To take different sections of it and plot it out on different platforms with the different link in different ways.
Yeah.
What would you say to add to using your platform and how to diversify your content?
I love that question, because one of the things, I was at Social Media Marketing World, one of the last conferences of this year probably, and we were there in San Diego, and we were talking about this, and one of the ladies was, I believe her name is Dana from Boss Moms, and she said, in most cases, do not share the exact same thing that you're sharing to Facebook pages, to your personal profile, to your Facebook groups, to your Twitter pages, to your LinkedIn pages. There are certain cases where it's obviously okay to share the same thing across the board because your audience is the same across the board. But in some cases, your Facebook group deserves better. Your Facebook group deserves something more intimate, something more honed in, because that audience is warmer. It's following you. It's in an invite-only situation in most cases. You want to be specific to their needs because you know their needs better than most people. And you don't want to do something that is, one size fits all when especially those people are also following you across the board. So like, for example, if you're asking, like in our case, we use Content Masters as our Facebook group to talk to our customers or partners and ask them, would you like this feature? What do you think about integrating this feature? What features are you looking for? That's not the kind of conversation we would have on a Facebook page, and especially publicly, because obviously our competitors out there. But more importantly than that, it's like going on top of your roof and yelling, "Hey, would you like this integration? Hey, would you like this, feature? How do you recommend?" No one's going to talk back to you on a rooftop. Actually, maybe today they might, because you can see
maybe today
you can see people across the balcony and things like that. But in the Facebook group, it's like that living room or the conference center in your building. You're going in, you're seeing people who you're living with. It's more intimate. You want to have a conversation that's more intimate and honestly more valuable for their time. So you want to be careful of what you share. You don't want to do it across the board all the time. You just want to just be more empathetic, just be more EQ driven.
Now is it still okay for entrepreneurs and brands and small businesses to somewhat broadcast their products and services and be a little bit aggressive? Obviously want to employ with empathy, but is it okay? And which percentage of that content, what would that look like from your perspective?
It's a great question. Like I said earlier, you want to be in a position to give, and then ask. Like Gary Vee says, jab, 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 right hook. Yep. In this case, you may have to do a lot more jabs, like a lot more jabs, like
a lot.
So many jabs like you've never jabbed before. You want to be in that position, and if you have the means to survive and sustain your business without laying anyone off and actually hurting your own business, you want to be obviously take care of your business. Just do a lot of jabs. Just give, and if you're promoting your product, like in our case, we're giving a lifetime subscription to our software. I'm saying we're giving a lifetime subscription to our software, $49. But hey, if you need the software for free because you can't afford it, or your family, you're debating between this and putting food on the table for your family. If you're a restaurant owner, if you're a hotel manager that needs something to get more people, digital, heck, if you're a gym owner and you want to stream things online and you need to get the message out and you need our software, pay $9. Don't pay anything. Just let me know your story. And that relationship that you're going to start with me as a founder, as business owner to business owner, is going to be a lot stronger than if you just come in and say, "Hey, give me something free," or "Your prices are ridiculous. It should be less." It's not going to be a long lasting relationship. So my thing is, if you're going to sell, say with a caveat that you're open to helping people, you're open to helping them in ways that you've never helped them before. Like in our case, one of the things I say very publicly is if you need help finding resources on Fiverr, graphic designers, copywriters, developers, talk to me because I've already done the research. I found the good ones and the ones that are reliable. Maybe that's a resource for you because we built our website, our front end website, not the business side of the website, not the entire platform, for maybe $3,000 or $4,000. Most cases will cost me $40,000 to $50,000. If you need something like that and you need it tomorrow, ask me how I did it, because I don't want you making the mistakes that I made and you know, repeating themselves. So that's another value. You know, buy something from me, and then I'll give you more time. I'll give you my time and help you with your business. You just have to be very careful and very empathetic about how you come across. If do not say this is the price, either buy it or goodbye. Do not say that. You want to be cautious and you want to be conscientious of their situation. Ask them how their day is. Ask them how you can be helpful.
So I know I've been blessed to kind of see this platform grow and all the kind of the success points, and it's been a blessing to be around it, being a part of it. It's really cool to kind of get the inside scoop. What are the milestones your company has reached now, and where is it going? Obviously, you don't want to divulge too much unless you want to give it an exclusive here. But where are you going now? What's been the success so far?
Yeah, and it's funny. You know, we've been raising capital on a website called Republic, so equity crowdfunding. Literally, anyone can invest as low as $100, and we've been continuously giving a lot of updates to people who've been backing us and supporting us. And you know, one of the things that I'm just scrolling down to the updates is we were talking to our you know, supporters about you know, some of the high metrics that we've been able to achieve in a very little amount of time. This is literally, we're talking 4 or 5 months. And this is after turning the company around for, you know, a little under $12,000. Somehow I found $170,000 to continue paying the bills and building the company out. And today we're on track to doing $90,000 by the end of next month, from December to April. And actually we might beat that given the amount of revenue we're generating on a day-to-day basis. So like I said, we actually have 2,200 businesses now. We're doing over 300,000 API calls a month, which, and when I say API calls, we're talking about the autocomplete as a service, or the autocomplete when you're typing in completes a word and sentence for you. We're seeing well over 300,000 API calls a month, and we've seen almost 20,000, well over 20,000 social media posts go through our platform as well in the less you know, 120 days. What else? We're obviously going to be on TV, which is very exciting, in about under 2 weeks. And we raised about 165K as of today. And again, we're training off of 153 million data points. Those are conversations to figure out what's working, what's not working, what emojis work, what other hashtags will work with other words, in turn work with other words. It's a very complicated back end, but the front end obviously is very simple. One of the things you've never heard of, or may have heard of, but rarely, is that we're achieving a 3 ROAS on advertising. That means every dollar we put in, we get 3 back. Every dollar we put in, we get 4 back. And that's unheard of, because we know we were able to figure out our customer and demographic very quickly. If you're going to do that for your business, I recommend not spending on Facebook until you have a sizable pool of customers that you know very well are the right kind of customer for you, because then you can use Facebook lookalike audiences as a feature on Facebook itself to target the right kind of audience and get the right kind of targeting metrics, so you're not wasting money. You're actually you're counting, every dollar is counting for your business in terms of success. So like I said, you know, we're raising capital here. We have a couple of weeks left in the campaign itself, about 34 days left. We're going to be on TV soon. This capital is definitely going to help us double down on the features that are working really well, introduce new features. This is a categorically new product, and we want every business owner around the world to have a fighting chance to compete with data, not just because they want to wing it. And that's the kind of approach I recommend everyone to have, is, you know, have a huge goal, have a huge vision, and try to get there piece by piece, but don't try to run over anyone. You want to get there with people around you and, you know, supporting you. And of course, thank you, Troy, for supporting us as well. You know, we've been talking for almost a year now, I guess. But
feels like it's been 5. You jumped so much.
We love you, and thank you so much for staying patient with us as we're iterating and, you know, moving along.
What I love how you presented this platform. You know, we talked about this all the time. You're not trying to compete with the big ones, because they already have kind of their own little thing. You've created your own mixture and gem where anyone can kind of get in, and it's affordable enough for those who maybe can't afford the premium prices, but it brings enough value that those who maybe at the top level need something a little bit different to try something different. Consider this product and go with it. When I was working VP for an agency, we did try it out to do a lot of different campaigns and see what the results look like with Woofy versus just us doing it ourselves. And obviously we were able to create more by volume, but also we were able to take more time to just focus on the copy and the content and not just, about, I got a schedule or the Woofy was able to give us kind of suggestions and different ideas and modify blog posts that we were writing on our own accounts and really distributing that outward. So I definitely would have recommended to those, especially right now, if you're really tight for financial struggle, financial hardship, you already heard that they're willing to help you if you're impacted. But, if you still want to, obviously we have a lifetime promotion going on right now for $49. And even at that, it's so valuable. You're able to connect. How many platforms can they connect right now? I forgot.
25 accounts, 4 platforms across the 4 platforms.
25 accounts, y'all. Yeah. That's a steal. A lot. Let me be frank. A lot of platforms do not give you 25 of anything. Yeah. Or you got to pay an arm and a leg and give away something else to get that. So that is the steal buy.
Yeah.
And if you're on the fence, keep in mind that this is a really affordable investment to help you create content, but also distribute content at scale.
And I was going to say, this is the kind of approach that we want to continuously have is, give product away and then see how your customers use it, see how, then you can iterate. That's an opportunity for you to iterate. If you're doing the service business, give away 1 or 2 small services, in kind, and see how your customers react. Maybe you're just getting started in the coaching business. Do a 30-minute coaching session, then try a 15-minute coaching session, then try a 45-minute. This is the time for you to be iterating and pivoting and constantly changing. In fact, try to put yourself out of business every single day. And if you can't, then obviously you're doing something wrong because someone else is going to figure it out. So once you figure it out, do it better, do it faster, do it on a more lean budget. And again, make sure you involve enough people around you so that they can support you as well.
Totally. What success stories have you heard or seen by folks who haven't used your platform and now have used their platform for, let's say, 30 to 60, 90 days, and they're seeing results? What does that results look like from your or from what you have seen from those who've used the platform?
Yeah, great question. We've been talking to our customers, and a lot of them will say the time factor is the biggest. If you're paying someone hourly, as you know, in the gig economy, a lot of people get paid hourly. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, you have to hear from the people that you're paying hourly that this is a lot of grunt work, this is a lot of mundane tasks and things of that nature. What we've been hearing is that people have been consistently saving well over 10 hours a week. On the low end, on the high end, they're saving a lot more. But the fact of the matter is, if Woofy can take away the grunt work that goes into trying to figure out the right copy, and then once you're done with the copy, the right images, and then the right emojis. That, again, don't take my word for it, but Adobe came up with this research, which is called the Emoji Trend Report, and then HubSpot did as well. That emojis and the use of them tend to drive double-digit uplifts in engagement. You want to figure out the right emoji. You just don't want to throw emojis in left and right that may or may not make sense. Because, like I said, there are 3,000 emojis. Here's the keyboard with all the emojis here. Good luck trying to figure out which ones are more accurate and more contextually relevant, which have been actually shown to be used with one another. And that's all grunt work. And it keeps the freelancer or the social media manager from doing what is really their passion, which is storytelling and coming up with creative content. So what we've been seeing, again, is over 10 hours a week being saved. That translates to a lot of money when you have multiple people working for you around the globe, and it honestly gets you to your goals a lot faster with a lot more fun and data at the same time.
What have you seen right now? I don't know if you have this off the top of your head, but what platform are people using Woofy using the most? Is it Twitter right now, Facebook, LinkedIn? What does that look like?
Yeah, I don't have the exact platform specific data, but we know for a fact people are using it a lot for Twitter and Facebook groups specifically. Many of our affiliates tend to be Facebook group admins. They're great. They make great affiliates because they have obviously an education component to their followers, teaching them how to run businesses online, and this tool just fits in perfectly. So Facebook is huge for them. For us, Twitter is huge for us as well. Instagram is kind of picking up now. We're about to integrate with TikTok next week.
Oh, yes. Let me know.
Yeah, Pinterest is coming soon. Google My Business is coming soon. Those two are two platforms that our customers across the board have been asking us for, and so we're prioritizing those features. But Instagram is probably one of the lower end in terms of usage. But it's also picking up steam. I would say that that's picking up steam. But and I think LinkedIn is going to pick up more steam this year. As people become more aware of LinkedIn publishing, as we introduce our journal feature, which is going to be directly tied into LinkedIn publishing as well, which is long form content. It's going to be the next Facebook, in my opinion, the next advertising, breeding ground, the next content warfare is going to happen there as well.
If I can ask you, in your opinion, what's the difference between, let's say, a Facebook group admin using Facebook itself to schedule posts natively versus Woofy? And we heard the rumors of Facebook kind of slows down reach if you use a third-party scheduler versus native app. What's your take on that?
Yeah, we've heard it, and it's not true. And in fact, our other competitors will say the same thing. They've done A/B tests, they've done tests of their own with third parties. It hasn't been proven to be true. What is proven to be true is that if you're just winging it and you're just coming up with content in the moment without thinking about it, without getting any assistance of technology or at least some level of data to come up with the right copy and the right combination of emojis and hashtags and images, you're pretty much bound to see mediocre results because your efforts were mediocre as well. With the platforms, and I'm not just saying our scheduling tool with all the data science and artificial intelligence baked in. If you use any scheduler across the board and you don't think about what you're typing, and then give it a sec and then come back to it, and let the data be able to make data-driven decisions, you're going to see the amount of effort you put into it is the amount of effort or the quality of response you're going to get on the other side. It's garbage in, garbage out. So in our case, of course, as you're typing, we tend to give you programmatic recommendations for the right words, the right letters, complete the word you're typing. It's almost like 153 million people working for you 24/7 trying to help you come up with the right copy. The only other company or size of company that can do that is probably a giant corporation with unlimited marketing budget, with unlimited resources at their fingertips. They'll have 25 people working on one account, another 50 people working on the copy. It's going to run through 500 different people. Then get approved. It's going to get run through analysis, and then finally you get an optimized post. In this case, you can do it immediately and schedule it immediately, and then come back to it if you want to change it, or you could just wing it, do it the old school way. But I recommend doing it with data.
Can you talk about, kind of make a quick pivot? Can you talk about how you and your team have really maximized your efforts working digitally? Any things that you would suggest for other solopreneurs or small business who are now making that shift to get their teams on digital? What do you use, and how does the process work for you all?
Yeah, we've been remote for a very long time, and I will say being remote, especially today, is great to be in this situation because you don't need an office. If you have an office or you had an office last week, well, good luck trying to pay the rent for it while you're stuck at home. And not being able to get back into the office for the unforeseen future. Being remote is super helpful. Some of the tools that we've been using include Upwork to find development talent, to find creative talent online, which tends to be more long term. If you think about Fiverr is great for short-term projects on the development side or on the design side as well. The video editing side. I mean, we've been working with people from Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Mexico, Ukraine, other parts of India. We've been working with Morocco as well. We've been getting video editing done there. That kind of puts you in a situation to not be affected by any one specific geography. And when you have that approach, investors like it because it's almost like when you're setting up a data center. As for people who don't know or aren't in the tech industry, you want to have a DR site. You want to have a disaster recovery site so that if the main a data center gets hit or something happens to it, you have a backup somewhere and hopefully in another part of the world that can turn on instantaneously and continue running your business off of. In our situation, we kind of had that with people where people are kind of spread out remotely, and dev teams are in different places, designers are in different places. We're not dependent on any one specific resource, which makes our company obviously a little bit more compelling than most companies that are now kind of trying to figure out their whole situation in under 5 days of how they're going to continue working, how they're going to continue doing meetings. Their business was very much about in-person meetings with clients and vendors. How are they going to do it over Zoom or using other tools? They're just figuring it out. And to be honest, they've probably stalled their business for a couple of weeks while they're figuring it out. For companies like us, we're blowing them out of the water from a competition standpoint, because we're continue to thrive and move forward because we already know this is how we work anyways. So Fiverr, Upwork is great. Freelancer.com is great too. I highly recommend you using Vimeo and payment platforms like that. Chase QuickPay, use Zelle to make sure your finances are liquid enough. They're not being, don't write a check
Right.
today, it's not going to get there. The mail system is very backed up right now. You want to make sure your finances are taken care of. All of your aspects of running a business should be taken care of with software and technology.
What are your thoughts of, I've seen this done, I've seen it done really well and really poorly, where they've taken their teams all digital, obviously, and they say that they have different locations in United States, in Pakistan, in China, specifically in Hong Kong, Turkey, all those different spots. Do you find that as misleading, or can they word it in a way to show the vastness of the company's reach without being misleading in any way, shape, or form?
Misleading, interesting. So I always hear, I often hear of companies saying, "Oh, we have offices in New York, London, Paris, blah blah blah." It's almost like an ego.
Very common for agencies specifically, for sure.
Right. Which actually, if you go into how many people are in each of those offices around the world, it's probably one or a half,
Right.
part-time or someone working out of their house. It's usually an ego-driven statement that comes out of the need to seem more powerful and more capable than the real company that's a competitor that has real offices with real overhead. So I would say, if you're saying that you have people around the world, you want to be very careful and say we don't have offices, because I never say we have offices, because our people are working out of their house, like that.
Right.
They're in their PJs. Working out of their house with their dogs, sleeping with their
day jammies or night jammies.
yeah, there you go. So at the end of the day, you want to be careful about, you have to be humble. Don't brag. Don't seem like you're trying to seem bigger than you are, or more capable than you are, or more talented than you are, because humbleness does go a long way when people are looking for working with someone who has the same humbleness factor and the grit to understand where they're coming from. Because especially for me, when we're looking for investors or we're looking for people to work with, we want to make sure that you understand and you have the scars of being in the trenches. Because if you don't, if you're just some kid that just had everything handed to you and now you want to run a business, you're never going to understand what it takes to truly get there to the top of the mountain. Because everyone wants to be successful, but when they figure out what it takes to get there, then most of them will drop out like flies.
So true. I'm just gonna do an air clap right now. Give them the thoughts, give them the advice, and we'll wrap this up in a few minutes. Lastly, you talked about all the stuff that we're talking about, the state of coronavirus and how, yes, you should be mindful of what you're scheduling. Eliminate things that may be very insensitive, or things that for events that obviously won't be happening for the foreseeable future, or anything like that. But also use this time to create. Use this time to really dig deep and make target relationships and all these things, and utilizing a tool like Woofy can help you do that more efficiently, more effectively, not only with yourself, but with your teammates as well. And I forgot, how many people can time in it with a team on an account? Is it 4?
You can have up to 9 people, including.
Okay, 9 people.
Yeah.
So you can tie up to 9 people for your account and run it through, and that's all under the same lifetime $49.
Yep.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So having that involved is a great tool and a great advantage right through now, because obviously you're short for cash. You're short for cash. A lot of people are, and we're all just trying to figure this stuff out. So Woofy gives you that opportunity. Again, we talked about how it does with AI. We talked about how it helps you create more content, diversify the content, and also is backed behind a founder and a CEO who's here to help you. His employing empathy. So, you know, if you're one of those people who want to basically, I'm going to boycott the company because of this person, you don't have that here. He's here to really help you and assist you. And it's only $49 for a lifetime. Thinking, I know you're probably thinking, well, if I don't pay $1,000 or $5,000, I'm not going to get the value. The joy of technology and the joy of innovation is that now we can make things at scale to make a bigger impact at a cheaper price point for you as the end user. And so this platform is, again, it's very minimalistic. It's very easy to use, really good colors. I think I forgot what the name of the voice component was. Did it have a name for that?
You haven't put a name on it, but yeah,
I was wondering.
Talk to it if you wanted to. We're going to be working on that a lot more this summer for sure. But the idea was to not only allow our customers and SMBs to have a very competitive, categorically new product, but also think about where their business is going to be going in the next 2 years. Voice is obviously a huge factor, and today being working remote, having collaborative features is a huge factor as well. Actually, that was my entire premise of my last venture-backed company I did in college years ago. And so we're going to be bringing factors of, parts of collaboration into this, allowing remote teams to work on assets. You're going to be seeing a lot of interesting things in 2020. And like I said, the lifetime deal gets you all of the upgrades, or I would say, majority of the pro level upgrades. We're going to be introducing premium. We're going to be introducing agency pricing. We're getting asked for that, left and right. We're holding off on it right now. We want to introduce the right features to, give our current customers the value add, and then we will introduce more features and specific features for agencies and larger companies. But like I said, like Troy said, it's a lifetime deal that's available right now. We're going to be increasing prices in 18 days. So, obviously try to get it now if you can. If you cannot afford it, email me, Arjun, ARJUN @HelloWoofy.com, and tell me your story of why you can't afford it. See how I can help you. My team can help you. And even if it's not the social media side of things, maybe you just need help with finding the right graphic designer because you have a client that's willing to pay you $2,000 for, doing the right graphic work. Let me know and I'll help you with that as well. Like, we need to come together. We have an obligation. You and I, Troy, we have an obligation today to help people who are not as fortunate and need to get out there, under the rock.
And what I love about the Facebook group is that you have a good community of people who have used Woofy, become brand ambassadors, but they also have so many talents and skill sets to complement that now you can kind of tap into and saying, hey, I talked to so-and-so over the phone or an email. And that's part of building a relationship. Social media has allowed us to make the ask much smaller. And you can nurture leads without being overly audacious or annoying or irritating. You don't have to spam someone all the time. You can follow them and just see what's going on and comment and retweet and just add value to what they're saying. And they're going to take notice. And over time, you can make that ask. And lastly, really quick, I was thinking about, how you have progressed and has your style of how you have asked for funding or your process to get funding, has it evolved? What's your strategy like? Because I've seen you go from here to just boom, what seems like overnight, but I know on behind the scenes it was a long, hard process. But any quick tips you would give in the final minutes just to kind of talk about how to get more funding?
Yeah, I would say tell your story first and foremost. As you know, a couple of months ago, I ended up losing my mom literally days before launching the public version of the product. And, we were at a point where we were trying to figure out how do we move forward on a personal level and a professional level. And out of nowhere, the show called me up and was like, hey, we know we turned you down, but would you be willing to come back on the show and actually film in a couple of days, a couple of weeks, actually, from that point on? And I was like, absolutely. Someone's telling, it might be my mom or, spiritually, someone's, sending me, blessings to move forward and continue on with the story of how we build this company out and see where it goes. And in a couple of weeks, we were on the set, we were filming. In a couple of more weeks, we had launched with AppSumo. We had no idea what to expect. We had a very buggy product in the initial phase, and today it's a lot more stable. But slowly but surely, we were able to build a business that's doing $10,000 to $15,000 a month since January of this year on an ongoing basis. And the business felt like it was going to die multiple times. And you really, if you're talking to an investor, you don't want to sugarcoat any bit of that, because that is a compelling, gritty, historical moment for you. In fact, several moments that you want to share with an investor to let them understand what they're really investing. They're not investing in a publicly traded stock. They're investing in you, and you are the force that needs to be obviously that's behind the startup itself. So share the story. If you're raising capital, if you're working with people who will work with you, and in the long term, you want to tell them everything, the good and the bad. In terms of co-founder issues, legal issues you may have had. How did you build a product with? In our case, we built a product with under $12,000 left in the bank. When we had to do the pivot and basically revitalize the company. And we did it very, very quickly. And now we are obviously on a trajectory that's going way much higher. But all of that is in the updates that we share on republic.co/HelloWoofy. It's in the deck that we share. It's in the conversations I have in pitches, the competitions I go to. It's all about being empathetic. Start with the story and then make the ask after that.
Thank you so much for divulging that and really being vulnerable. I think, like you said, a lot of times we have that facade that we try to put out there, especially on LinkedIn and social media in general, where we want to look like we're tough at every point in times. In reality, you may realize that the time that you're able to be vulnerable, just show your humanity and let someone connect you on an emotional level, they'll naturally maybe want to do more for you. So hypothetically, I don't have $1 million to give you, but if I did, I'd probably would invest. But if I didn't, I still would thought, because of that connection you made me early on, you've always checked in every so often, and we've been able to do things like this. And I'll make suggestions. People like, hey, you want to get involved with this, but hey, you want to maybe consider investing in someone. It's not just so much narrow, linear way. There's other ways you can connect individuals, to build network, build those relationships that they can, maybe not now, but you sow that seed 3 years later, they put you through with the right person who will drop you that $1 million investment or whatever they want to do. So don't think about it too deep that someone, even though they can't give you that initial ask that you're asking for, they can't do something else to give you that value.
And you bring up a great point. Whether it's marketing or raising capital or forging partnerships, you have to start now, because 9 times out of 10, that relationship will not become a monetary win for you until 12 months from now. And if you're doing anything today and you have the fortune to sustain yourself and your business and your family as well through these weird times that we're in, you have an obligation to help others who don't have those means to do so. And you have to build those relationships now. Charge them 12 months from now when their business is back up and running. They're making 10 times what they were making yesterday. They honestly owe you everything because you helped them figure out a means to save their business. Don't do it now. Jab, 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 but do another 500 jabs before you make the right hook.
Need to tag Gary Vee in this one. We edit it out and post it out live.
Yeah, totally. Shout out to Gary Vee.
Yeah. So thank you so much for your time, Arjun. Thank you so much for taking time to talk about all these different topics and all these different things. I'm sure we're going to be looking forward to kind of chop it up and send it on bite-sized pieces on using Woofy, by the way, to distribute it out to audiences and everyone to kind of be aware of what's going on. So lastly, just to kind of wrap it up, bring it on home, where can they find you? What's the price for using Woofy? And what's the one value you think that they could do right away with using Woofy?
I think the first thing is sign up. It's a free account. You can get some basic features into the platform itself. Get started, play around with it. For us, give us feedback of what's working, what's not working. But for you, start thinking about what it means to have content in your library so that you have something or the other coming out all the time. You have your brain dump for all the things that make up your brand in terms of content, the links you want to share, the content, the posts you want to share, the emoji combinations that really tell the story of what that post is about. Have it all dumped into the library. Just get started there. Add 10 posts or add 1,000 posts, and then start launching campaigns. And if you don't feel comfortable with launching campaigns, which are going out on an ongoing basis, depending on the day or the day of the week, or the days of the week you have set up, simply do single posts. Just go ahead and click on the triangle, convert that post in the library itself into something you want to post today or maybe tomorrow. And then that's it. Maybe that's all you do this week. But next week, try to do 2 of that. And the following, try to do 3 of that. And try to come up with a habit and import more content, import more graphics, see what works, what doesn't work, use the analytics section. But the point is, just put yourself out there. Just push yourself to get out there, because this is a new world we're living in, which is online. It's remote first. The lanes of success are no longer outside in retail specifically, but they're online. And that might mean getting faster internet connection too, so you can do more. But honestly, get out there and start pushing.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for being on. I'm sure the audience, when they're watching the replay, is going to enjoy it. Get the $49 limited lifetime access. Do it now. You got 18 more days. What do you got to lose? It's a steal to have you already scheduled ready to go for the rest of the year. Are you kidding me? Less than $50. That $1 means a difference, y'all. The $1 means a difference. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll talk soon. Later, people.
Thank you. Bye.